skaters, skateboarders, skate fashion, skate fits. Oh god, I need an intro for this video. Think, bro, think.
He was a skater boy, he wanted that fit check boy.
Welcome to the video. Today, I want to talk about skateboarding, skate brands, and fashion. I am not going to be nice most of the time because I truly consistently find myself baffled by the ways that skate brands operate when it comes to clothing and by the ways in which quote-unquote real fashion brands choose to interact with skateboarding. But why does this matter at all? Well, I think that skateboarding is maybe the most important and impactful underground culture since punk rock itself, and I think it was able to gain that level of importance by being an umbrella that could hold countless subcultures within it. A skateboard does not have culture. It's wood and wheels. It's an activity, a sport, a hobby, whatever you want to call it. The culture comes from the people who use them and the manner in which they exist. And I get that pool skating and vert skating are like OG, and I respect Tony Hawk, like bro, Hawk 2 of those Cheetos, get your bag. You made good video games back in the day, respect. I mean, what, first man to do a 900? No, first man to do 900 sponsorships, my man. But I think that skate culture really would barely be a culture at all if it weren't for street skating. Now, I'm going to explain street skating, which is probably going to be like pulling teeth for anyone who already knows skating, but if you don't know me and my channel, I usually talk about designer fashion, so I can't assume my viewers know everything. You know, we like to talk about designer fashion here. What do you think, what's this all about? What do you think all this is, huh? What's that? But yeah, maybe there aren't skaters out there. There are probably some fresh little skate babies out there watching, clueless and crying and in need of a burping. Those people need skating explained to them, so bear with me here. Listen, you can trace the history of street skating to like the 60s or even earlier, but cameras weren't invented yet in 1960, so there's no proof of it. So like, what are you gonna do, right? So here's the quick version. In the 80s, skaters got bored of ramps and parks, and they took to the streets, bombing hills, grinding rails, annoying businesses, and getting chased off by cops. And that was basically rebellion by definition. So then, into the 90s, this stuff has exploded, and that's how it becomes the subcultural umbrella that I'm talking about, because the only constant is rebellion. Everything rebellious in culture can coexist with skateboarding. Amazing stuff such as punk rock, hip-hop, graffiti, punching cops. And here's the bottom line. Nothing sells better with kids than rebellion. A brand that stands for kissing your mom on the cheek and doing your homework is not gonna make any money. So as this skate culture builds, an entire ecosystem of companies pops up to meet the demand of this booming culture. Like you've got brands like Powell and World Industries who start making videos to promote their team skaters and their products. And look, these videos, they're just promotional really. They're a way to get more kids into your brand and sell more stuff. But it turns out some of those videos are really damn good. They're made by people like Spike Jonze, who later became acclaimed film directors, and the culture of skating was shown in these videos. There were great tricks and great locations, but there was also great music, misbehavior, danger, antics. It was an entire world for kids to exist in, and when kids want to exist somewhere, so do brands. So two types emerge. There are core skate brands, which are started by skaters for skaters, and then there are non-skate brands, everyone else. Like, they're outsiders who might be trying to cash in, sometimes with love and sometimes with pure, unadulterated cringe. And now, we are in late-stage capitalism. Everything is a brand, and somehow, even the core skate brands can't seem to make good clothes, which is wild because they've got the culture. They just can't seem to stitch it into a hoodie, and let's talk about why. I'm not going to spend much time here because, like, when something is so bad, it's not even fun to hate on. It makes me feel like the bully in an 80s teen comedy. Like, I'm the dumb jock punching the nice smart kid in the face and he's crying and everybody's yelling at me to stop and suddenly I'm the bad guy. But anyway, most core skate brands make terrible, terrible clothing. Most of them because they just don't care. Like, at all, right? Some of them are really cool companies made by great skaters like Baker or Flip or Zero or Birdhouse, whatever, and these brands are just never going to jive with me from a fashion perspective because I actually care about clothes, whereas I think they just care about selling enough product to be able to stay in business and keep paying their team skaters. And these brands, all right, for their clothing, they use terrible blanks made in Bangladesh or Nicaragua, and they poorly screen print logos on them, and then they sell them for 20 or 30 bucks on a good day, like 10 bucks when they're trying to clear out stock, right? So from both a fashion and sustainability perspective, I hate this. But as someone who has played in punk and hardcore bands for decades, I totally get it. DIY punk and skating are very similar. It's not about making great stuff. It's about going down to Walmart, buying the cheapest sandpaper Gildan blanks they have, having your friend screen print on them with expired ink and screens that look like they're from the 1920s, and then you sell them to get your name out there and to make just enough gas money on tour to get to your next show, and that's fine. It's not good, but it is foundationally necessary to existing as an entity within these spaces. However, there are some brands that are downright detestable for far worse reasons than this. The main one I'm thinking of is Primitive. They don't just make stuff to get by. They seem to revel in slop creation. Like, if there is any intellectual property in the universe that has more than a handful of 12-year-old fans, they're gonna collab with it and run it into the damn ground. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Tupac, Demon Slayer, WWE, Bob Marley man. Okay, like, I'm gonna be real with you. If the only way you can get kids to buy your shitty merch is to do these goofy marketing agency brained collabs, then you probably don't deserve to exist. Like, if your own brand name, your own designs, your own team skaters, your own rep isn't enough to sustain you, you have fundamentally failed and you might as well close up shop. So while I grudgingly accept most of the core skate brands and their terrible apparel, stuff like Primitive needs to die a very, very quick death. I really desperately hope that no one needs me to explain to them what Supreme and Palace are, right? We're good. Well, they've had a really, really interesting decade or so. I mean, Supreme started super legit. In the 90s, they were a gritty New York brand who just happened to have such good designs and such a good marketing strategy that by the mid-2010s, they broke through to the mainstream. Runways, collabs with the coolest artists, musicians, and designers on earth, lines around the block at every retail location they opened, items instantly selling out at release and instantly worth at least double their retail price. They were crushing, okay? But let me tell you something. If you don't remember anything from this video, remember this.
Private equity kills everything.
Seriously, the second you hear that any brand has been bought by private equity, you can assume that brand from that exact moment forward is no longer the brand they previously were. They are now a hollow husk of their former self being sucked dry for profit by vampire squids. So, VF Corp bought Supreme in 2020, and since then, it's been effectively dead. Like, they've brought in different designers, done more collabs. This stuff is sometimes very good and sometimes very bad. Like, I swear, it happens seasonally at this point that the attitude swings between Supreme is dead and Supreme is back, okay? But I guess what I'm trying to say is, there's no such thing as alive or dead now. It's neither. It's a zombie. If you like it, great. I do think individual items of clothing can be good or bad in a vacuum, removed of any external context, but I do like to connect my clothing to some set of overall values or beliefs or even just overall vibes, and like the Supreme vibes are sour. But Supreme isn't the only hype skate brand. There's also Palace, the Supreme of the East. If you consider London the East, and I do because it is literally east of me. Now, Palace technically is a core skate brand. They have a team, they release videos, it's by skaters. The thing is, I think the true meaning of a core skate brand is by skaters for skaters. And it's that second part that I don't know if Palace lives up to. Like, they've always been the sportier, preppier, football hooliganier Supreme. They're good at color blocking and tech or athleisure wear type stuff, and there was definitely a period of time where I preferred it to Supreme in terms of raw product output. Like, for a while there, I'd put the Supreme and Palace drops next to each other and be like, I'd rather wear more of the Palace stuff, but man, I really feel like they're flailing in the post-streetwear era. And I'm not sure if all of you realize this, but streetwear is dead, at least in comparison to like the 2017 to 2021 timeframe. I don't know if it was fear of God who killed this, or like Tyler, the Creator, or what, but I feel like before you were seeing bucket hats and Air Maxes and windbreakers and t-shirts and stuff, and now street dudes will like wear more polos or sweaters. You might see them wearing like actual trousers with pleats and stuff, right? And instead of sneakers, they've got loafers, or they're wearing sneakers, but it's something like flatter and more understated and clean, and all of these things, all of the above, play against Palace's core strengths. Like, they can be a little preppy, but they are not dressy or tasteful. Like, I remember getting an email about a recent drop because I've been on their mailing list for like a decade now, and I remember thinking, this entire collection feels both like it's from a completely different time within fashion and feels like it's very poorly trying to keep up with the times, like with some of the fuggliest Nikes I've seen in my entire goddamn life. So brands like this, I think they're just on life support, and I guess their best play is to just hope the cyclical nature of fashion comes back around and makes what they do cool again. There are some brands that, like, I don't know of any other way to describe them than fake premium. Like, these are brands that spend 30 seconds more designing each graphic than the primitives of the world, and they tack on like an extra 30% to the price tag for their effort. Like, I feel like Limousine is the poster child for this. Like, it's the same design and product quality as most of the trash tier stuff, but they took like a little time to understand the types of things that cool kids wear, and they lock into that. And then they like sew their own neck tags in so it's not so obviously just the same blanks everybody else would use. And listen, you're not fooling me, Limo, all right? And then there's this company, Last Resort, that I feel like was getting a lot of hype.
How embarrassing!
In recent years. Like, if you ever met a skater who would complain about corporate sneaker companies taking over skating, but also that the core shoe skate companies like Etnies or something were ass quality, those people were probably super into Last Resort. And I was also into it in theory, and like, their apparel is legit half decent, like a wool viscose flannel made in Portugal for $135. That's not like excessively insulting. It's basically the equivalent of what you get at like a B Market Nordstrom or whatever, you know, like the brands that they put out on the floor that don't get a rack with their brand name attached to it. My real designer department store heads know what's up. They get me there, all right? But yeah, apparel, fine, but like, I just can't fathom how their shoes would be any good. Like, they released these mock toe skate creeper things, and they're really pushing the crocodile embossed leather version, and the photos look sick. Like, that overhead, like, that looks like real crocodile on like a $1,200 pair of shoes, but they're $125, bro. That's less than like a butts tier pair of Nikes, and we know they got them slaves busting themselves to hit those prices. So what possible quality could a $125 pair of croc embossed leather shoes really be? Like, what corners are being cut there? Like, maybe someday I see them and change my mind, but dang, I legit don't think it's possible that these shoes are quality at this price point. And then I mean Polar, all right? Polar is probably a great example of like fake premium. Like, they really, really would love to be Palace, Supreme, Noah, and all of the above under a single roof, but I don't see any identity from them. Like, why am I going to pay double what a regular core skate brand would charge for something with no identity of its own? I get that they like had a hit product with the big boys, those jeans, but now that baggy, tapered shape looks like a time capsule from like 2023. I didn't even know it was possible to be dated in 2 years. Like, dang, dude. If there's one core skate brand that I think does it well, It's fucking awesome. And I know some of you will cringe when I say that. I know. You see, FA is like the definition of cool kids skate brands, like cigarette smoking, art gallery, Criterion collection type stuff, right? I mean, they made Chloe 70 a pro skater, and that's either the most cringe thing ever, or it's a god tier move. And I actually lean towards the latter, bro. And the thing that I think works about FA is that they have an aesthetic. When I think of them, I think of like black and white photography with like a film stock grain all over it, and that's the vibe that they're speaking to, and it's always been that way. They're smart marketers. They know what their skate team needs to look like. Their skaters vibe with the aesthetics of the product. They produce just the right amount to make sales but sell out all their drops, and they've never gotten too big for their britches. Like it's $50 tees and $100 hoodies, like that perfect one step up market, and they're not squeezing their fans dry. And I'm going to be real. This may be super controversial, but I also think the brand Sci-Fi Fantasy is doing it right as well. I think their price point is even slightly lower than FA. And now, do some of their graphics and color ranges look like Heyday Supreme? Yes, it's true. Is it sometimes a little bit like too cool guy, quirky? Yeah, but goddammit, if that embroidered Sci-Fi Fantasy logo on a hat or beanie doesn't still go hard. It's been years. If you can get a single design to go hard for years, you're doing something right. Now, the last set of brands I want to talk about, I don't even know how to approach it. These are brands by people who do have some sort of cachet in the skate scene, but not as much as they think they do. Like, they think they're core skate brands, but they really aren't. So the first and most obvious one is Noah. I feel like a lot of people consider them just like a regular skate brand, but I take umbrage with that argument, young man. So their founder, Brendan Babenzian, he was a designer for Supreme when they were starting out. So he kind of saw them through that era that really got them on the scene. So then like he had a premonition, as if he saw the evil empire that Supreme would become. And he was like, nah, this is not going to be good for the world or the environment. And he went and started Noah with that mission to be like,
be better, man, you know?
And Noah, they have skaters on their team and stuff, but they've just never felt like a skate brand. The best skate brands are about skateboarding first, and everything, the boards, the apparel, accessories, all of that comes out of the skating. Noah always felt like a fashion company that was tied to skating, and it was flipped. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. I think Noah is dope as hell. I think they understand fashion and trends really well. Like, they were on the prep wave solidly before it actually took off. And at this point, I feel like if someone came to me and was like,
I love Tom Brown, but I'm poor,
I'd be like, well, if I got the thing for you. Like, if you just look at their stuff, man, beautiful knits, supple leathers, tweed with a texture you can feel through your screen. They've got the fashion side, man, but they are like a legit designer brand. We've taken a significant price jump here. As I write this, the cheapest thing on their site is the simplest t-shirt I've ever seen for $60 and up to $1,600 for a cashmere plaid shirt. That's like top tier at Mr. Porter H. Lorenzo pricing right there, all right? And none of this is stuff you would skate in, God knows. So like, it's like they've self-selected themselves out of the skate category, and that makes no sense. And then, okay,
I gotta calm down.
Then there's a brand run by a personal hero of mine, someone I'm a legitimate fan of. Someone who started in the skate scene and then had like this big homecoming back to the community he started with before he went off to create some of the best art that's ever been made. The person I'm talking about is Harmony Korine. I get it. It is cringe to worship Harmony Korine. How very millennial film school nerd of me, but for real, he is a GOAT for a reason. If you're not familiar, start with the movie Spring Breakers to ease yourself in. Then watch Kids. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. It was directed by Larry Clark, another former owner of a disappointing skate brand. Anyway, then you're gonna watch Gummo. It's gonna weird you out, freak you out, blow your mind. Then you'll do Julian Donkey Boy, then Mr. Lonely, and then from there, yeah, best of luck to you. Anyway, as you can see, I can talk Harmony Korine all day here. And the first movie he wrote, Kids is based in that mid-90s New York skate scene that Supreme came out of. So Harmony Korine, he's got like legit skate bona fides, you know what I mean? So I was pretty excited when he announced this big comeback. Then he announced the name, and everyone cringed, and that's because he called it EDGLRD, but without the E or the O for some reason. EDGLRD, Edgar Lord. And listen, secretly I love it, because in my opinion, he's been playing it safe for years. So for him just putting his foot down and saying, I'm gonna bring Edge back, yeah dude, I was in. Let's make some people uncomfortable, hell yeah. But then I heard everything else about them.
Yeah, man, we're like a multimedia and design collective creating films, video games, and skate fashion for the age of AI.
So what? This is the place for Harmony Korine to use generative artificial intelligence to spit out crappy designs to milk his loyal fan base, aging edgelords like me with money to burn? Nah, dude, I'm out. If you just look at what they have for sale, it's a mishmash of absolute garbage. Actually, it looks like the product range you'd get if you told AI to spit out random Harmony Korine coded merch mixed with otaku and Miami hypebeast vibes. It's slop, designed to generate slop income, and here is the worst part. Nobody should want to give any income to this company because they might spend it to fund the goddamn IDF, bro. Yes, you heard me right. The Israel Defense Forces, the guys in the place doing the stuff. Pew pew, bad hombres, all right? Yeah, Harmony Korine was spotted at a fundraiser for Friends of IDF.
Allegedly.
The fact that that's a thing, like humanity should probably just go extinct now. If we're gonna have galas to celebrate that stuff, my lord. But by the way, that image has allegedly been scrubbed from the article it was initially posted in, trying to hide the evidence. I don't know, man. I don't like it. And surprise, surprise, the guys who gave EDGLRD a huge infusion of cash to fund all of Harmony Korine's dumb AI art fantasies, they are linked to several high-profile Israeli companies. Like, these people are complicit. Even if the clothes and products didn't suck, which they do, I would never endorse it, and I'll probably never talk about it again after today because it deserves to fade into obscurity. And that's such a bummer because this was one of the greatest, most provocative artists of the past 30 years, and he just sold it all out. For what? To pay off his mortgage? As a guy with a mortgage, I can see the appeal, but he was still getting hired to do all sorts of stuff. This just wasn't necessary, and the worst part of all is he went back to the skate community, the culture that birthed him to sling this slop. It's an insult to them and an insult to himself and the person he used to be because his entire attitude and ethos came from skating, the rebellious nature, the mischief, the confidence, the creativity. The more I think about it, the more I realize that there's like this certain slice of Gen X who came up in a much edgier world than the one we live in now, and they have spent so much time over the past decade or so being begged to just like not suck quite so much that they reflexively run to the other side. It's like all part of the greater Joe Roganification of the 40-plus-year-old alt celebrity world. And maybe the best example of this is Bret Easton Ellis, the American Psycho author who's just so far up his own reactionary ass now. And if Harmony is going to IDF charity events, like, yeah, he's lost to the dark side. And I feel like the worst part of all this is if he were to respond to this, he'd probably try to make the argument that I'm the intolerant one or the one doing more harm in the world because I can't just like accept him for his complicit self, you know? And screw this world, man. It just bums me the hell out.